Anybody here at the battle this afternoon?
Yeah.
Okay. Captain Oberlin was rides on staff with General Baer. He was riding beside him, and he was raising his arm and was hit by a bullet through his hand, and it came through his carpus or wrist and shattered his wrist. On the field now, with a wound like this, we know that he stands a very good chance of dying. So the sooner we take his arm off, the better chance he has to live. That's why amputation is so accepted, because it works. So he'll live without an arm. If we wait, the longer we wait, the more chance he has to die. So on the field, he was taken to an aid station, which was behind the battle line, not far behind, and sorted out. Today we call that triage. And he was sorted out because he probably will live if we amputate his arm. So, and being an officer, he gets as soon a care as we can give him. On the field, he was given alcohol as a stimulant, and also morphine or opium as a painkiller. So he's brought here to the field hospital, and now we're going to amputate his arm. So we're going to use anesthesia. The anesthetic that is most preferred is chloroform. It's a volatile liquid, easy to make, fairly cheap, fairly procurable, even in 1864. And we pour it into a funnel. If anybody can see this, this is a funnel. Better with the moon, isn't it? It's a funnel with a sponge in it, and the anesthetic is poured in to the funnel and held over the patient's face. But we don't want to touch his face. And in an open air like this, we've got plenty of air circulating so that he'll so that he gets air mixed with it. We will give this, as we do this, we hold it as close to his nose but not touch his face. The assistant surgeon is going to keep his hand on his pulse, and he will become a state of what's called rendered senseless. So he might moan, he might vocalize some, but he's not going to feel what we're going to do. So he's about ready for anesthesia, and now we're going to start the amputation. And I'm going to use I'm going to use a scalpel, just a little, and I'm going to do what's called a circular amputation. There were a number of different amputations, so it was surgeon's preference. And I'm going to cut the skin in a circular fashion. We're going to do it. We want to keep as far away from the body as we can. The closer to the body, the higher the mortality. So if we can keep it as further away from the body, we know has a better chance of living. At the same time, we don't want to cut into bad tissue. We want to cut into good tissue. So we're going to make a circular skin incision around the skin completely. My assistant's going to grab the skin and pull it back to expose muscle, because we want to try and cut the muscle so that we will leave this patient with a nice padded stump. And I'm going to use a knife. You can't see a thing. I'm going to use a knife that has two edges to it. It's called a Lister knife, so it's a double-edged knife. And you can stab into tissue, touch the bone, know where you are, and cut out. And then you can go back on the other side, stab in, and cut around so that you cut all of the muscle tissue. My assistant's going to grab the skin and that muscle. I'm going to grab on this side and try to pull away from the bone, because now I have to saw through two bones, the radius and ulna. So I'm going to saw through.
Hands history.
And now we're done that part. We'll get rid of the hand.
Peeing out blood.
Now, there's an artery here. I can hold that with my finger. My assistant's going to grab the artery. He's going to grab the artery. There's a ligature wrapped around here, which is a piece of thread, either silk. He's going to grab that artery, if you can see it, and hold that. I'm going to tie a ligature around this artery, and he's going to remove that. So we've tied off the main artery. Of course, there's bleeding through these muscles. And then I'm going to pack it with lint. Lint is made of cotton threads. The easiest way to do this is to take a petticoat, cut the hem off, and pull the threads. And then that will form lint. So it's soft. And we pack the wound with lint, and we're actually going to pack or pull the skin back over the stump. I'm not going to suture this stump because I want it to drain, and I also want it to scar down with as much padding as possible. This particular amputation, I felt those bones, they felt smooth, so I didn't have to use bone nippers and try to get off of any bone spurs or use a file to smooth it. But oftentimes I do, I'll feel that bone, and if I feel a bone spur which is going to hurt the patient when we're done, then that would be filed and smoothed off. This is good. Then we bandage his arm. Okay. So now what are we going to do with him? We give him more painkiller or killers. We're going to change this bandage every day. In about 2 to 3 days, I'm going to grab those long ligatures that I left and pull them out of the wound. And if this wound doesn't start to ooze pus in a day or so, I'm going to put my finger in and move it around some, and hopefully it'll start to ooze pus. Then this patient's going to be moved south, and we'll probably take him to Gordonsville. There's a receiving hospital there, and in Gordonsville he will be sorted out again and then transferred to the major general hospitals in Richmond or Charlottesville or wherever we can put him and hopefully recover.
Do you pour alcohol on it or anything to prevent infection?
It depends on what year of the war and what we have. There were a number of different substances used to try to control sepsis, and one of the better ones toward the end of the war was bromine. That's more in a large hospital, used in a large hospital setting, in a general hospital.
Did you have a tourniquet on there?
I did, and I didn't mention it, but since you've got a camera here, there it is. The tourniquet I actually put on before you guys get here, but the tourniquet's put on to help control some hemorrhage. Any other questions?
When does the lint come out? When does the lint come out?
Oh, that gets changed every time we change the bandage.
Every time.
Right. And it'll be repacked.
Okay.
One of the things that does is it helps the tissue granulate and form over the bone too, so that we get more scar tissue over the bone as a padding.
Do you have to knock him out again for that?
Sometimes we do. Great question. If you guys walk away from one thing, it's that anesthesia was used with almost every surgery, but it was also used routinely in painful bandage changes and things like that. So it wasn't just used surgically; it was used as a to decrease pain.